Have you ever felt entrapped? Not by walls or bars or circumstance, but by something inside. A tightening in your chest, a racing mind, a sense of dread that clings to you like a shadow. It's a feeling so many of us know, yet so few of us truly understand. We brush it off as stress, as worry, as just being anxious. But what if I told you that feeling, that weight, could be signaling something far more significant? Imagine a world where a broken arm receives immediate care, a fever prompts a trip to the doctor, and a persistent cough is investigated. We readily acknowledge and address physical ailments. We offer sympathy, support, and a path to healing. But what happens when the injury isn't visible? When the pain isn't felt in the body, but in the mind? Too often it's met with silence, with dismissals, with phrases like "snap out of it" or "just think positive," as if a complex, deeply rooted struggle can be solved with sheer willpower. It's a cultural habit, isn't it? To minimize, to invalidate, to pretend that mental well-being is somehow less real. But I'm here to tell you with absolute certainty that anxiety disorders are as real as diabetes, as tangible as a broken bone, as deserving of care and compassion. I've spent years listening to my patients, hearing their stories, witnessing their struggles. They describe a consistent pattern: the relentless worry, the sleepless nights punctuated by racing thoughts, the constant muscle tension, the inability to focus, the feeling of being perpetually on edge. And yet, so many of them don't seek help. Why? Because of the stigma. Because of the fear of judgment. Because they've been told, directly or indirectly, that their pain isn't legitimate. Let's dismantle that myth right now. Anxiety, in its purest form, is a fundamental human emotion. It's a survival mechanism, an ancient alarm system designed to protect us from danger. Think back to our ancestors facing predators in the wild. A surge of anxiety, a quickened heartbeat, heightened senses could mean the difference between life and death. This is the fight or flight response, honed over millennia, built into the very fabric of our being. But what happens when that alarm system malfunctions? What if it starts sounding false alarms, reacting to everyday situations as if they were life-threatening? That's where anxiety disorders come in. It's not about being weak or overly sensitive. It's about a miscommunication within the brain, a glitch in the system. The story begins in a tiny, almond-shaped structure deep within the brain called the amygdala. This is the emotional center, the threat detector. It's constantly scanning for potential dangers, analyzing sensory information, and sounding the alarm when it perceives a threat. When you encounter something frightening, a loud noise, a shadowy figure, the amygdala springs into action, sending signals to the hypothalamus, which initiates the stress response. Suddenly, your muscles tense, your breathing quickens, your heart races, and your blood pressure spikes. Your brainstem kicks in, flooding your system with adrenaline and cortisol, preparing you to either fight or flee. It's a powerful, automatic response, designed for immediate action. But in a world filled with abstract anxieties, deadlines, relationships, the future, this ancient system can become overstimulated, constantly firing even when there is no immediate danger. Now, there's a crucial part of the brain that should help regulate this process: the ventromedial prefrontal cortex. Think of it as the rational voice, the calm presence that can assess the situation and tell the amygdala to stand down. Imagine you see a tiger. The amygdala screams danger, but the prefrontal cortex steps in and says, "Wait a minute. That tiger is in a cage. We're at the zoo. We're safe." It's a feedback loop, a delicate balance between emotional reactivity and rational thought. And then there's the hippocampus, the brain's memory center. It provides context, reminding us of past experiences and helping us to interpret the present. It says, "We've seen tigers in cages before. This is a familiar situation. We're okay." It's the hippocampus that allows us to distinguish between a genuine threat and a perceived one. But in people with anxiety disorders, this intricate system often breaks down. The amygdala becomes hyperactive, overreacting to stimuli. The prefrontal cortex struggles to exert control, and the hippocampus fails to provide adequate context. The result: a constant state of heightened alert, a pervasive sense of worry, and an inability to escape the grip of fear. It's like the volume control on the alarm system is stuck on maximum, blaring incessantly even when there's no fire. The pathways that signal anxiety become stronger with each anxious thought, each anxious experience. It creates a vicious cycle. The more you worry, the easier it becomes to worry. The more you avoid situations that trigger anxiety, the more powerful those situations become in your mind. You're essentially training your brain to be anxious. And it's surprisingly common. Studies estimate that around 16% of people will experience an anxiety disorder at some point in their lives. That's 1 in 6 of us. These disorders manifest in many forms: social anxiety, where everyday interactions become sources of intense fear; panic disorder, characterized by sudden, overwhelming attacks of terror; agoraphobia, a fear of open spaces or situations where escape might be difficult; and phobias, irrational fears of specific objects or situations. But here's the most important thing to understand. Anxiety disorders aren't simply a matter of thinking differently. There are actual, measurable differences in brain structure and function. Research has shown that people with anxiety disorders may have altered connections between the amygdala and other parts of the brain. The brain literally rewires itself in response to chronic stress and anxiety. Now, this might sound daunting, but it also holds a glimmer of hope. Because if the brain can change in response to negative experiences, it can also change in response to positive ones. Neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to reorganize itself by forming new neural connections throughout life, is a powerful force. It means that anxiety disorders aren't fixed, immutable conditions. They are treatable, manageable, and even reversible. So where do you begin? First, with the basics. Treat your body with the respect it deserves. Nourish it with a balanced diet, move it with regular exercise, and give it the rest it needs. Your mind is not separate from your body. It's an integral part of a complex, interconnected system. What you do to your body directly impacts your mental well-being. Consider incorporating mindfulness practices into your daily routine. Meditation, deep breathing exercises, yoga, these techniques can help you slow down the fight or flight response, calm your nervous system, and regain a sense of control. It's about learning to observe your thoughts and feelings without judgment, acknowledging them without getting swept away by them. It's about creating space between your experience and your reaction. Cognitive behavioral therapy, or CBT, is another incredibly effective tool. This form of therapy helps you identify and challenge negative thought patterns, replacing them with more realistic and helpful ones. It's about learning to question your anxieties, to examine the evidence for and against your fears, and to develop coping strategies for managing difficult situations. CBT doesn't just change the way you think, it changes the way your brain works, rebuilding those neural pathways that dampen down the anxiety response. And sometimes, medication can be a valuable part of the treatment plan. Anti-anxiety medications can help regulate the brain's chemistry, reducing the overactivity of the amygdala and providing temporary relief from debilitating symptoms. Both long-term medication and CBT have been shown to reduce that overreactivity, allowing you to regain control of your life. Think of anxiety disorders like high blood pressure or diabetes. They are chronic conditions that require ongoing management. There isn't always a cure, but they can be effectively treated and controlled, allowing you to live a full and meaningful life. It's about finding the right combination of therapies and lifestyle changes that work for you. Don't let stigma silence you. Don't let fear prevent you from seeking help. Your mental health is just as important as your physical health. You deserve to feel safe, to feel calm, to feel at peace. And you are not alone. There are people who care, professionals who can help, and pathways to healing that are within your reach. Remember, the courage isn't in never feeling anxious. It's in recognizing the anxiety, understanding it, and actively working towards a healthier, more balanced state of mind. It's about claiming your right to well-being and refusing to let fear dictate your life. It's about understanding that the battle within isn't a sign of weakness, but a testament to your strength. And finally, it's about knowing that even in the darkest moments, hope remains. There is always hope.